I'm going to hit you guys with a kind of a program question. I don't even know exactly where I'm headed with this because there are a few programs around college football that fascinate me. UCLA for certain reasons, because I figure, why can't you win? You're in a beautiful place. People want to go there. Why can't you win? There are certain, Auburn's one of them too, because I think you've got a very unique history in college football. So people ask me all the time, where's Auburn? Where would you rank them? What tier are they on? And I always say they're a top 15 program. It's a top 15 program in the country. I don't care what their record was last year. But if you look at, let's just take the last 20 years. I made the comment to somebody the other day that I said between Bear Bryant and Nick Saban, Auburn was better than Alabama.
That's
not
fact.
by a ton, but they were better. They won
That's
the series. Fact. They finished in the top 10 more. They were just better. Through Bo, through Pat Dye, into the early 2000s. Obviously, Tuberville won 6 straight against the Tide. They were just better for a long time, for 30 years. So I don't completely buy into this narrative that some people have that since Nick Saban's at Tuscaloosa, you just kind of give up. You throw your hands up and you say, we can't, let's take our 8-4 and that's it. Now, obviously, Michael, you're speaking to this particular season. You got to be reasonable,
right?
Of course, but you got a very interesting history and program because you mentioned 2004. If I'm Auburn, I put a banner up in the stadium because how in the world do you win an SEC championship, go undefeated, and the only reason you finish number 3 is because you hit the ceiling? Oklahoma and USC were at the top of the poll to start the season. So the way things worked back then is you climbed as far as you could, and then and because Auburn started like 19th that year, they couldn't climb high enough. Oh, that's stupid. And then in 2010, Cam takes him to a championship. You mentioned that 2013, that deal was unlike anything in the history of college football, going from 0-8 in the SEC to within 7 seconds of a national championship. That's unheard of. There's not a example like that in college football. And then over the past 7 or 8 years, except for that November run in beating Georgia and Alabama when they were both number 1 to get yourself within a 60 minutes of a college football playoff appearance, it's been 4 to 5 losses every year. So this program is it's intriguing to me in terms of what should be expected. When the highs come, they peak out high 2004, 10, 12, or 13. And the rest of the time, it seems like this disappointment of, we got this top 10 team on paper, but we just went 8-4. Right. We didn't quite get it done. So, again, many people consider this the toughest job in college football because of who's in the division and who's in the state. So, Michael, what do you think about all that? I don't even know what that question is. I just rambled on about what I think about Auburn.
I got what you're putting down, Mark. Let me sum it up for you simply. Top 10 recruiting classes on average should produce top 10 finishes at the end of the season. Period. Full stop. Right? That's not what we've been doing. We've been recruiting like a top 10 team, or like a top 15 program, but we regularly finish outside that number at the end of the season. And that's about development and coaching. Now, they caught lightning in a bottle when they hired that guy up the road at that other school, but to your point, we had made a really nasty habit out of beating them until he got there. And then he started what he termed the process. And that's what we hope Harsin is bringing. Listen, you don't have to, nobody's getting fired for not beating Nick Saban, because then everybody would be fired. And as a matter of fact, over the last 8 years, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Gus did it more than anybody. So it's not about just beating them. It's about showing a sustained pattern of development, with the guys that you have. And we haven't had trouble getting the talent, but what you do with them after what you get them is the mark of a good program or a great program. Right. And Auburn has the talent to be a great program. Now we need the leaders of men to come in and take that talent and turn us into the top 15, top 10 program that we've been recruiting like over the last 10 years. That sums it up for me. I mean, it's frustrating as fans, to know what they're capable of, right? And then see it fall by the wayside, through totally controllable things You know, nobody expects an undefeated season every year. You know, and the fans of that other school, they think our year is all about beating them, Mark. It's not, right? It's really just about going out and being competitive every Saturday and feeling like the hundreds of hours that get put in between, you know, January and August amount to a great product for what ultimately is about 42 hours of football in the fall. So I think that, you know, Auburn is definitely, we're fun to watch when we're in it, you know, and we're frustrating to watch when we're not. And mainly because
we're frustrating either way. Let's be clear about
right.
that.
Yeah. I mean, even in the wins, we don't win easy. Right. You know, in that you think about those undefeated seasons, you know, 2010, and then it wasn't undefeated, but in 2013, I mean, we had a national championship team that gave up more points defensively than any other national champion in the history of college football. That I needed heart attack medicine to watch that season, and they just barely pull it out at the end. Right. You know, we had college football's best player, but he was surrounded with a lot of what I'll just say was average talent. You know, guys who were good, but, you know, how many of those guys went on beside Nick Fairley to play at the next level? So, you know, that's about development and coaching. That's something that they have to get back if they want to be a true top 15 program in college football.
Yeah. I mean, you said it all. The frustration of the Auburn fan is seeing a team that you feel it can be better than what they're showing on Saturday, and not knowing really where to find your bearings about what's the problem here. Like, why are we not doing better? You know, you have a national championship coach who comes in. We have a coach that takes us to a national title, I should say, and then the very next season it falls apart. And then, you know, you have the offensive coordinator who comes in and he's the coach, and you go back to a national championship, and then you're floating in the wind again until 2017, where it seems like you're rekindling the flame of, you know, winning ways, and then it goes back downhill. It's just this roller coaster ride. And it's frustrating for me, particularly as a fan, and I know a lot of other fans, when you couple the success that you have in the offseason with recruiting with the amount of money that you're paying a coach. You're paying him like a top 5, top 10 coach consistently, but then the product on the field doesn't marry either of those things. You're recruiting well, you're paying the staff well, so you can't say you're not paying for, you know, a quality coach. You can't say you're not getting quality recruits in, but then at the end of the season, you know, you look at the bowl record over the last couple of years, it's abysmal. Like, we're losing to everybody. And that's just not acceptable for a team with that much talent that's paying that much for their coach. Yeah, again, the word for me is consistency. I want to see some more consistency in the program, and hopefully Bryan Harsin brings that back to us.
You needed some of those points you put on poor Purdue against. You needed those spread out against.
Yeah, spread out over a couple of bowl games. Be great. We scored 63.
Yeah, for sure.
Unnecessarily. We didn't even need that much.
We didn't even need it. Yeah.
56 in the first half.
Yeah.